Oh buddy, Andy here again, down in the woods today for a change. So I haven't been out this way for a while, so it usually inspires me into making lots of vlogs. This particular one is about the word redundant. What's in the word redundant? Because it means different things to different people. If I looked it up, the definition, if it means being in excess. I suppose that's obviously it can be used in other ways as well, but usually there's too many of you, or it's old-fashioned, isn't it? Something's old-fashioned, it's become redundant, like a redundant piece of technology or something like that, like this digital camera will be in a few years' time, no doubt, that type of thing. But uniquely British by all accounts, we also use it to mean being laid off, being got rid of from a job or something, which is, as I said in other videos, is what happened to me. I was made redundant. That's the term that we actually use in the the documents, etc. as well. It's redundancy pay, it's all that sort of thing. As I said, it's uniquely British that we use that in that way, and several people from around the world, but mainly America, I think, commented on either videos or comments about videos that I made about losing my job. Well, that's not a very nice word to use. People use laid off, let go, or things like that, because redundant, it's quite a harsh word, isn't it? It's sort of quite derogatory in a way. It makes you feel as though you're not wanted anymore, you're worthless or something like that. You are surplus to requirements. Yes, a company downsizes, I can see that. That wasn't the case with me, but yes, that does happen. So you can see it could be used in that way, but it's very harsh, and it does make you think, well, and it sets you back, I think. And I think that's the point that the American people especially were saying in the comments, was the way that it could make you feel afterwards. If you're let go or you're laid off, you're sort of eased out in a bit way. It's a bit more gentle, isn't it? A bit more gentlemanly, if you wanted to put it that way, a bit of a nicer way to, yes, ultimately it's the result is still the same. You're losing your job, but you're being let down gradually. It's not a case of we don't want you anymore, you're no good or something like that, or you're getting too old or whatever it might be, so therefore you're redundant for our purposes, that type of thing. And it seems quite harsh, and it is, and I never really thought about it that way until the comments come in, and then you start to think, well, hang on a minute, how does this make you feel? How does it make you feel after 36 years, and then suddenly someone turns around and says, sorry Andy, we don't want you anymore, you're not good enough for this, or you're not the right type of person for that, or something like that. It does make you think, well, hang on a minute, I've been doing this job or whatever job you're in, you've been doing this for X amount of years, and you've presumably been good enough to do it up to then, and then suddenly you're not good enough to do it, and where there's suddenly a dividing line. I could go into it, but I'm not going to my own personal situation, but I think that's the way it can make people feel, and it really hurts people and knocks them down, I think, and I can see why some people could become a bit more depressed about this type of thing, and obviously it depends on how you come out of it the other way. I had a comment yesterday, I happened to put something up onto Twitter, which goes onto Facebook, about how this has affected me in some ways, having been off work now for getting on for 2 months. I've got a holiday coming up shortly, which is one reason why I haven't really been able to get into gear about doing anything specifically, because you get the holiday comes in the way, etc. And I have to put a comment up, quite true, was the fact that I've noticed that the weekends now don't mean anything. All the days blur into one, and it really struck me this weekend. I was thinking, oh, it's Saturday, and I was thinking, yeah, and whatever, so what type of thing. It didn't actually mean anything anymore, like it used to be. Oh yeah, everyone's looking forward to the weekend, and I see people putting that stuff up on their status updates and things like that, and they're getting excited by it, and I totally understand. I was there once myself, and that's one of those consequences of the situation that I'm in, and lots of other people are in, that every day sort of blends into one. Yes, they have their own ways because different things happen. More tends to happen at the weekend. I wouldn't come out probably to these woods at the weekend, and there are other things and places that I wouldn't go to at the weekend because there'd be liable to be more people around. So in that respect, yes, but you do send it, right, okay, so what day is it, and I had something the other week. I went out for a drink with some ex-work colleagues, and I had to remind myself to go. It was on a Friday, and I had to think, right, I've got to make sure that I know what I'm doing. Everything blends into one. You get out of that sort of routine, and that can be quite a dangerous thing. It's quite liberating in some ways. It's quite a freedom, I suppose, that you don't have to worry about getting up, you don't have to worry about setting your alarm. Yes, I've been up and about, I'm not a person to sleep, I might lay in bed, but I don't sleep particularly long, so I can get up and I do things like this, come out, make sure that I'm active, get out and do the walks and that type of thing. But you can see why other people might slip into that, especially if they've been made to feel completely redundant for anything. But yes, these things, the person comments says you ought to get into doing things, you ought to do some voluntary work, or you ought to do something. As I was saying to someone the other day, I met Steve down in Bath the other day, is that we were both saying the same thing. The time just flies. Yes, the days blend into one, the weekends don't really mean anything specifically, and although you don't actually achieve anything, attain anything particular, you're busy, you're doing stuff. I'm out doing this, I'm doing other things, and you do wonder, where on earth did you manage to fit work into this type of life as well? So there you go. I'll mention that in another video as well. I've got plenty of things that I'm going to do. I've got something I've mentioned before, so I'm quite excited about, actually, if it ever comes to fruition, but talking to people about it as well. They seem quite excited by it as well, and the ideas that I've come up with, and I'm going to go away and think about it. A friend of mine is on holiday now. He's been thinking about it as well, and which is nice to get somebody else on board as well. So although I may be redundant at the moment, I'd like to think that come September I will feel a bit more inspired to do things, because then that is when the new start, the new beginning. You know, it's that whole one door closes, another one opens. Okay, I've got to do that myself. I've got to maybe give myself a kick in the pants or something like that, and that might not be as easy as it sounds. I'd say this is quite a nice little spot, this. Birds, I think I'm about the only person around it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thoughts as always. What are your thoughts? If you know, redundant, what does that word mean to you? Is it as nasty as it sounds to me? Is it just a British way of doing these things? I don't know. Anyway, I will leave it there. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to you again soon. Goodbye.